When your dog falls asleep facing you, do you actually know what that means? Most people think it's just a random sleeping position, maybe comfort, maybe habit. But behind that quiet choice, there's something most owners never realize. It's one of the most vulnerable things your dog can do, and if you ignore it, which most people do, you might be missing one of the clearest signs of how your dog truly feels about you. Let's start with what that moment really means. 1. It's not comfort. It's a decision. Have you ever noticed how your dog positions themselves before they fall asleep? They don't just drop anywhere. They turn, adjust, reposition. Most people assume it's about comfort, but here's what's actually happening. Your dog is choosing orientation. Dogs don't sleep randomly. They position themselves based on what matters most in their environment. And when your dog consistently chooses to face you, that's not accidental, that's intentional. Think about that for a second. Out of every direction they could face, they choose you. And by the way, if your dog ever turns away suddenly after always facing you, don't brush that off. We'll come back to why that matters later. 2. Your dog is monitoring you, even while resting. Here's what most people don't realize. Sleep for dogs isn't just off mode, it's a layered state. A 2020 study in canine sleep behavior found that dogs cycle between light and deep sleep much more frequently than humans. And during lighter phases, they remain aware of their surroundings. That means even when your dog looks fully asleep, part of their brain is still tracking movement, still listening, still watching. So when your dog sleeps facing you, they're not just resting, they're keeping you in their awareness, emotionally and physically. And here's the deeper layer. They only do this with someone they care about monitoring. 3. You've become their point of reference. In animal behavior, there's a concept called orientation anchoring. It means an animal positions itself in relation to what it considers most important in its environment. And studies on domestic dogs show something powerful. Dogs don't orient toward random objects. They orient toward social anchors, which means when your dog sleeps facing you, you're not just in the room. You're the center of their environment, their reference point, their stability. Think about that. Even in rest, even when nothing is happening, your presence is what their body organizes around. Now, before we go deeper, if you're starting to see your dog differently right now, hit like and subscribe. That's how we get these videos to more people who want to understand what their dog is really saying. 4. This behavior comes from survival instinct. To understand this fully, you have to go back thousands of years, before dogs had homes, before couches, before safety was guaranteed. Sleep was dangerous. In the wild, the direction an animal faced while sleeping could mean survival or death. Facing the wrong direction meant missing a threat. Missing a threat meant not waking up. So animals evolved to position themselves strategically. Now here's where it gets interesting. Domestic dogs kept this instinct, but they adapted it. Instead of orienting toward danger, they orient toward trust. So when your dog sleeps facing you, they're doing something ancient. They are choosing you as the safest direction in the world. 5. They don't do this with everyone. Watch your dog closely. Do they sleep facing every person in the house the same way? Or is it mostly you? Because here's the truth most people miss. Dogs don't distribute trust evenly. A 2018 study from the Budapest Family Dog Project found that dogs form primary attachment bonds with specific individuals, even in multi-person households, and those bonds influence everything: where they sit, who they follow, who they watch, and how they sleep. So if your dog consistently faces you when they sleep, that's not just comfort, that's preference, that's selection, that's your dog saying, without saying anything, "You're my person." 6. This is what most owners never realize. Here's where it gets deeper. When your dog is asleep, they are at their most vulnerable. No awareness, no defense, no control. In the wild, this is the moment everything matters. So the question becomes, where do they feel safe enough to let go completely? And the answer, when they face you, is clear. It's you. Not the bed, not the room, not the house. You. And here's the part most people never think about. They're not just choosing to be near you, they're choosing to be vulnerable because of you. Think about that for a second. That's not habit. That's trust at the deepest biological level. 7. When this changes, it means something. Remember earlier when I said don't ignore it if your dog suddenly stops facing you? This is what I meant, because this behavior is stable. It doesn't just change randomly. If your dog suddenly starts sleeping turned away, or chooses distance instead of orientation, it can signal something important: stress, discomfort, emotional shift, or even physical pain. Behavioral consistency is how dogs communicate stability. Change is how they communicate disruption. So the next time your dog sleeps facing you, don't just see it as cute, and if it changes, don't ignore it, because that quiet shift might be the only signal you get. So when your dog falls asleep facing you, they're not just getting comfortable, they're not just choosing a position, they're making a decision rooted in instinct, trust, and connection. That's not random, that's not small, that's your dog saying, "You are where I feel safest." And that moment, it was never just sleep, and it shouldn't be something you overlook either. If this changed how you see your dog, share it with someone who loves theirs. Subscribe to Poppy Club, because every week we break down the behaviours your dog shows you every day, so you can finally understand what they've been trying to say all along. And tell me in the comments, does your dog sleep facing you? Because now, you know exactly what that means.